I'm going to ask you to start us off.
Sure.
So, let's see here. I think we're live right now. All right. Let me just make sure. Trying to see if sometimes I need to see. Oh, okay. I see where it is. Yeah, the share audio was like on the whole corner of the phone. I couldn't even see where it was. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Brother Doug, as always, and I'm here in Jersey with my mom, Sister Sharon, and we have Sister Shoshana with us today, and Brother Dennis. And so we're going to be doing our usual Sabbath day readings. We're going to be going into the book of Judges, continuing in Judges, doing Judges 9 to 11. I'm going to have my mom start us off with Judges chapter 9.
Okay. Abimelech, son of Yerub-Baal, went to his mother's brothers in Shechem and said to them, and to all his mother's clan, of Shechem, which is that you have all 70 of Yerub-Baal's sons rule over you, or just one man. Remember, I am your flesh and blood. When the brothers repeated all this to the citizens of Shechem, they were inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, "He is our brother." They gave him 70 silver shekels from the temple of Baal Berith, and Abimelech used them to hire reckless adventurers who became got a train. Okay, who became his followers. He went to his father's home in Ophrah and on one stone murdered his 70 brothers, the sons of Yerubbaal. But Jotham, the youngest son of Yerubbaal, escaped by hiding. Then all the citizens of Shechem and Bet Milo gathered beside the great tree at the pillar in Shechem to crown Abimelech king. When Jotham was told about this, he climbed up on the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted to them, "Listen to me, citizens of Shechem, so that Yahuwah may listen to you." One day the trees went out to anoint a king for themselves. They said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree answered, "Should I give up my oil, by which both mighty ones and men are honored, to go waving over the trees?" Next the trees said to the fig tree, "Come and be our king." But the fig tree replied, "Should I give up my fruit, so good and sweet, to go waving over the trees?" Then the trees said to the vine, "Come and be our king." But the vine answered, "Should I give up my wine, which cheers both mighty ones and men, to go waving over the trees?" Finally all the trees said to the thorn bush, "Come and be our king." The thorn bush said to the trees, "If you really want to anoint me king over you, come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, then let fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon." Now, if you have acted honorably and in good faith when you made Abimelech king, and if you have been fair to Yerubbaal and his family, and if you have treated him as he deserves, and to think that my father fought for you, risked his life to rescue you from the hand of Midian, but today you have revolted against my father's family, murdered his 70 sons on a single stone, and made Abimelech, the son of his slave girl, king over the citizens of Shechem, because he is your brother. If then you have acted honorably and in good faith toward Yerubbaal and his family today, may Abimelech be your joy, and may you be his too. But if you have not let fire come out from Abimelech and consume you, citizens of Shechem, and Bet Milo, and let fire come out from you, citizens of Shechem and Bet Milo, and consume Abimelech. Then Jotham fled, escaping to Beer, and he lived there because he was afraid of his brother Abimelech. After Abimelech had governed Yashrael 3 years, Yahuwah sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem, who acted treacherously against Abimelech. Yahuwah did this in order that the crime against Jerubaal's 70 brothers, the shedding of their blood, might be avenged on their brother Abimelech and on the citizens of Shechem who had helped him murder his brothers. In opposition to him, these citizens of Shechem set men are the hilltops to ambush and rob everyone who passed by. And this was reported to Abimelech. Now, Gaal, son of Ebed, moved with his brothers into Shechem, and its citizens put their confidence in him. After they had gone out into the fields and gathered the grapes and trodden them, they held a festival in the temple of their mighty one. While they were eating and drinking, they cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal, son of Ebed, said, "Who is Abimelech, and who is Shechem, that we should be subject to him? Isn't he Jerubaal's son, and isn't Zebul his deputy? Serve the men of Hamor, Shechem's father. Why should we serve Abimelech? If only this people were under my command, then I would get rid of him. I would say to Abimelech, call out your whole army." When Zebul, the governor of the city, heard what Gaal, son of Ebed, said, he was very angry. Under cover, he sent messengers to Abimelech, saying, "Gaal, son of Ebed, and his brothers have come to Shechem and are stirring up the city against you. Now then, during the night, you and your men should come and lie in wait in the fields. In the morning at sunrise, advance against the city. When Gaal and his men come out against you, do whatever your hand finds to do." So Abimelech and all his troops set out by night and took up concealed positions near Shechem in 4 companies. Now Gaal, son of Ebed, had gone out and was standing at the entrance to the city gate just as Abimelech and his soldiers came out from their hiding place. When Gaal saw them, he said to Zebul, "Look, people are coming down from the tops of the mountains." Zebul replied, "You mistake the shadows of the mountains for men." But Gaal spoke up again, "Look, people are coming down from the center of the land, and a company is coming from the direction of the soothsayer's tree." Then Zebul said to him, "Where is your big talk now? You who said, 'Who is Abimelech, that we should be subject to him?' Aren't these the men you ridiculed? Go out and fight them." So Gaal led out the citizens of Shechem and fought Abimelech. Abimelech chased him, and many fell wounded in the flight, all the way to the entrance of the gate. Abimelech stayed in Arumah, and Zebul drove Gaal and his brothers out of Shechem. The next day, the people of Shechem went out to the fields, and this was reported to Abimelech. So he took his men, divided them into 3 companies, and set an ambush in the fields. When he saw the people coming out of the city, he rose to attack them. Abimelech and the companies with him rushed toward to a position at the entrance to the city gate. Then 2 companies rushed upon them in the fields and struck them down. All that day, Abimelech pressed his attack against the city until he had captured it and killed its people. Then he destroyed the city and scattered
Yeah.
scattered salt over it. On hearing this, the citizens in the tower of Shechem went into the stronghold of the temple of El Berit. When Abimelech heard that they had assembled there, he and all his men went up Mount Salmon. He took an axe and cut off some branches, which he lifted to his shoulders. He ordered the men with him, "Quick, do what you have seen me do." So all the men cut branches and followed Abimelech. They piled them against the stronghold and set it on fire over the people inside. So all the people in the tower of Shechem, about 1,000 men and women, also died. Then Abimelech went to Thebes and besieged it and captured it inside the city. However, was a strong tower to which all the men and women, all the people of the city fled. They looked themselves in, they locked themselves in and climbed up on the tower roof. Abimelech went to the tower and stormed it. But as he approached the entrance to the tower to set it on fire, a woman dropped an upper millstone on his head and cracked his skull. Hurriedly, he called to his armor bearer, "Draw your sword and kill me, so that they can't say a woman killed me." So his servant ran it through, and he died. When the children of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they went home. Thus, Yahuwah repaid the wickedness that Abimelech had done to his father by murdering his 70 brothers. Yahuwah also made the men of Shechem pay for all their wickedness. The curse of Jotham, son of Jerubbaal, came on them. Now that was Gideon, right? That reference was Gideon, Jerubbaal.
Yeah, he was given that name
Yeah.
as a way to curse Baal.
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, Jerubbaal means like forget like cast Baal down or something like that. It's
Okay.
like
Mhm.
yeah. That's a perfect example of what we were talking about the other day, not to argue about words. Okay, if he's being able righteously to be called that name by other Israelites, Yahuwah is really not that concerned by you just mentioning a name of another mighty one. It's, what we were talking about the other night. It's the context of the command was about worship, was about prayer, to not be praying to other mighty ones, not to be worshiping other mighty ones. As far as just saying their names out loud, obviously that's not the case if he's allowing Gideon to be called that. And we see that actually multiple times in the scriptures. You see that. You see, if etymologically you look up the name Esther, Esther goes back to Ishtar, the Astarte, Easter, Esther, Easter, same thing. So Yahuwah never told Esther, okay, you need to stop being called Esther. He never said to Daniel, you can't be called Belshazzar, or some name that's similar to Belshazzar. Some people want to argue that he wasn't literally called Belshazzar. He was called Belshazzar or whatever, whatever variant. The point is, they were called pagan names, and Yahuwah never convicted them, okay, you can't be called that. That's the point I'm making. So, and I believe that's what Paul's talking about. What Paul could have been talking about in his letters, talking about arguing about words, in my personal opinion. So, let's see, Simeon went with him. I just want to kind of skim here what you were reading here in chapter 9. Okay, so
what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's see here. Why is it? So, let's see if there's anything really important from that chapter. Let's see here. Abimelech. Okay. Now, Shechem, I'm trying to remember what was the geographical importance of Shechem. Wasn't Shechem a place where, it was similar to Bethel, where
Yeah.
where Yahuwah appeared to someone, or it was Yahuwah's place at some point in time? I would have to look that up. I really forget about Shechem. But I know there has to be some importance about Shechem. Because it says the plane of the pillar that was in Shechem. Now, see, oh, interesting. The Masoretic says pillar. The Septuagint says the
Want
oak.
to see a picture?
Yeah.
This is a really nice picture.
I wonder
of
if there was a
Shechem.
high place at Shechem, is what the Masoretics try to say.
Oh, it's closed. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Mom.
Yeah, it's like there's a picture of a little. That's the thing I love about my little baby King James Bible. It's got tons.
Does
of
yours say?
photographs.
Does yours in verse 6 say pillar? Because it says, they went and made Abimelech king by the oak of sedition, which is at Shechem.
Great tree at the pillar
Yeah.
in Shechem to crown him.
Yeah. Now maybe the Septuagint is paraphrasing pillar as sedition. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But if there was a pillar there, that would definitely seem to indicate a high place of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Said, hear me, you men of Shechem. Alua shall hear you. Interesting. We have the Septuagint saying Yahuwah will hear them. The Masoretic in verse 7 says that he may hear them. It's a little interesting. I don't know if I ever caught that before. So Judges 9:7 in the Septuagint says that Yahuwah will hear them. Making a little note here. Will hear them. Masoretic text says may. Hearken. So a little difference there. The Masoretic would have you believe that it's not a definite that Yahuwah would hear their prayer. Very weird.
I doubt.
Yeah, like there's like a moment of doubt in the Masoretic, which I don't know. To understand why they would want to change that, I would have to really go into the rabbinical traditions and find out what the Masoretes believed about whether Yahuwah hears their prayers all the time or not, or whether they have doubt whether he would hear their prayers. And, I would have to go into the Mishnah and find out what they believe about that. Because a lot of what they change to put their own traditions into the text a lot of the times. So I'm just skimming through this chapter here, trying to see if there's any difference. Okay, this is a difference here. The Masoretic in verse 9 says that they would honor Elohim and man. Very weird. So the Masoretic adds and man, like mankind, to be honored as well as Elohim, which would then try to put us on an equal, almost on an equal honor with Yahuwah, which is definitely not scriptural. Septuagint just says that they may esteem Alua. So the Masoretic adds in and man, which causes a huge problem there, because then people would then get the idea that we would deserve the same honor that Yahuwah is given, and there's a huge problem there. So the Masoretic text of verse 9 adds in "and man." I wonder even if that's even in the text. Let me just look at my sword real quick, because that would be very strange if they added that in there. I don't even see the agenda to do that, unless they believed that they were gods. That's the only thing I could think of, is that these rabbinical scribes started believing that they were divine. It's definitely not just in one translation. A lot of the Masoretic based ones say "and man." Yeah, man's there. Yeah, it's there in the text. So that causes a huge issue, in my opinion. Does yours say that, Mom?
What's that, honey?
In verse 9, does yours say "and man"?
No, no.
Really? You
Mine
don't.
just says, but the olive tree answered, should I give up my oil by which both mighty ones and, oh yes, and men are honored?
Interesting. Yours glorifies it.
Yeah, like small g gods, mighty
Wow, the
ones.
NIV translates it as gods.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because not any of the translations I'm seeing does that. That's very strange. Nah, it shouldn't be gods. It's talking about. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, the "and man" definitely causes a huge issue. But so yeah. Anyway, seems like this is a parable being spoken here about the fig tree. Come reign over us, the brown said. Okay. You out of the hand of Midian. Um, yeah, I don't see any other huge differences here. Um, yeah, I'm just bear with me, guys. I'm just kind of skimming through what my mom read just to see if there's major differences between the two manuscripts here. So we're gonna start chapter 10 soon. Um, just skimming through real quick. But yeah, there's definitely there was at least two major differences in this chapter that cause possible theological issues, especially verse 9. Um,
Right next to Samaria.
mhm. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like that Shechem was similar to Bethel, because it says in verse 46, and all the men of the tower Shechem heard, came to the gathering of Bethel Beerith, So the house of Alua Berith, whatever Berith means, I don't know. I'm not too sure what that Hebrew word Berith means. I know that Bethel means house of Alua.
Mm-hmm.
Berith, I'm not too sure. um,
It's also part of the land of Manasseh, Manasseh's territory.
yeah, that makes sense because so far that's what we're reading about, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the northern house so far.
Right.
We haven't even really talked about so far in this narrative. We haven't seen them really talk about the southern house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were burning with fire. Sorry about that. Hmm. Yeah, interesting. So, yep, we're about to start chapter 10 here. Brother Dennis, would you like to read chapter 10 for us?
I can. Can you hear me
All right.
okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. And after Abimelech, there arose Tola, son of Puah, son of Dodo, a man of Issachar, to say Yisrael. And he dwelt in Shamur in the mountains of Ephraim. And he ruled Yisrael 23 years. Then he died and was buried in Shamur. And after him arose Yair, a Gileadite, and he ruled Yisrael 22 years. And he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys, and they had 30 towns, which are called Hawa Yar to this day, which are in the land of Gilead. And Yair died and was buried in Canaan, Cummin. And the children of Yisrael again did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, and served the Baals and the Ashtaroth, and the mighty ones of Aram, and the mighty ones of Zidon, and the mighty ones of Moab, and the mighty ones of the children of Ammon, and the mighty ones of the Philistines, and forsook Yahuwah, and did not serve him. Therefore the displeasure of Yahuwah burned against Yisrael, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and into the hands of the children of Ammon. And they crushed and oppressed the children of Yisrael that year for 18 years, all the children of Yisrael who were beyond the Jordan in the land of the Amorites in Gilead. And the children of Ammon passed over the Jordan to fight against Yehudah and against Benjamin and against the house of Ephraim, so that Yisrael had great distress. And the children of Yisrael cried out to Yahuwah, saying, We have sinned against you, because we have both forsaken our Elohim and served the Baals. So Yahuwah said to the children of Yisrael, Was it not from the Mitzrites, and from the Amorites, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines that I saved you? And the Zidonians and Amalek and Maon oppressed you, and you cried out to me, and I saved you from their hand. But you have forsaken me and served other mighty ones. Therefore I do not save you again. Go and cry out to the mighty ones which you have chosen. Let them save you in your time of distress. And the children of Israel said to Yahuwah, We have sinned. Do not do to us whatever is told in your eyes, only deliver us today, please. So they put away the foreign mighty ones from their midst, and served Yahuwah, and his being was grieved with the trouble of Yisrael. Then the children of Ammon were called together and encamped in Gilead, and the children of Yisrael gathered together and encamped in Mizpah. And the people, the heads of Gilead, said to each other, "Let the man who is the first to fight against the children of Ammon be head over the inhabitants of Gilead." I don't understand why our people always forget. Go back to the Baals. Keep doing that.
Yeah. So, Mom, anything you wanted to kind of bring up from the chapter?
Just, there is a definite balance between the father's mercy and his punishment, his anger. And there will come a time when he just doesn't want to hear it anymore, but how amazing, even after all that, he was still willing to help them. That's what truly amazes me. But we really don't want to push him too far. And I'll tell you, I feel like we are truly, not just our country, but the world is in his anger right now. His wrath is not here yet, but he is definitely angry, and we have gone too far. We absolutely have. That's where we are right now. I'm looking for a word that's not coming to my mind, but that's okay.
It's interesting. I just thought about this from the last chapter, right? The exact number of Gideon's sons that died were what?
70, yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
75 souls of the children of Israel went down to Egypt. Obviously, 5 passed away. That's why only 70 came back up from Egypt. Then you have the 70 messengers of the divine council. It's very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And if people prefer, I'll say celestial council or heavenly council. I have no problem saying that, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, but let's see. Now, obviously, 70 nations. I mean, Yahuwah uses 70 a lot. This is what actually I think was one of the important parts of this chapter. The children of Yashrael did evil again in the sight of Yahuwah and served Baalim. By the way, the im in there, I find it interesting. The Septuagint keeps the im there because that's actually a Hebrew suffix. So translating from one language to another, the Septuagint translators did not feel the need to translate it into Greek. So I find it kind of funny because Baalim in English would be the Baals. How in your modern Bibles will say the Baals and the Ashtaroths. So that's what this verse is talking about. It's talking about they served Baal and Ashtaroth. The mighty ones of Aram, the mighty ones of Sidon, which that would be like near Tyre,
yeah.
Phoenicia, and all that. The mighty ones of Moab, the mighty ones of the children of Ammon, the Ammonites, and the mighty ones of the Philistines, they forsook Yahuwah and did not serve them. It's interesting to note that all these nations, who they would have been serving, a lot of their mighty ones were like the Nephilim. When you actually look archaeologically into who the gods of the nations were, they were either, of the original 70 council or of the giants. Usually that's what the gods of the nations were. So when they weren't just like serving another made up creator, they were serving evil forces that Yahuwah couldn't stand. So when you understand that whole, they were serving real beings that either have died and they deified them, because what happens, Rob Skiba, our late brother that passed away, he could explain this better, but it's the concept of euhemerism. Euhemerism is the idea that a lot of the mighty ones of the ancient world who were against Yahuwah, who were lesser, not equal to him, but lesser, lowercase gods, were basically they were either giants, fallen angels, or once were actual men. And we see that today with the celebrity worship. We see that today. It's nothing different. Basically, what would happen is you would see these giants living like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. To the heathen, they would think that's a god. Oh, he's almost immortal. You know, these giants live 400 or 500 years. Oh, they must be gods.
Mhm.
So the pagans would actually worship these hybrid giants as gods. They would, you know, hence Hercules, hence Dionysus, this person, that person. All of them were like hybrids. A lot of them were hybrids, or their fallen Malachim fathers. It was one or the other. And when you actually do the research, you archaeologically research the pantheons, the pagan pantheons, I should say, and the polytheistic pantheons. Almost all of them. Sorry, guys. All of a sudden, I have to cough for some reason. Weird. Okay, so, but anyway, so that's what Judges 10:6 is talking about. They serve the Baals and the Ashtaroths. Okay. They afflicted and bruised the children of Yashrael at that time 18 years. Children of Yashrael beyond the Jordan land of the Amorite and Gilead. And the children of Ammon went over the Jordan to fight with Yehuda, Benjamin, and with Ephraim. Oh my goodness. And the children of Yashrael were greatly afflicted. And the children of Yashrael cried to Yahuwah, saying, we have sinned against you because we have forsaken Aluah and served the Baalim. And Yahuwah, and so again, it's basically the story of Yashrael. They screw up. They have, they don't really repent to Yahuwah until they're getting afflicted by these other nations. So it talks about, let's see here. Then he even says this in verse 12. And from the Sidonians, Amalek, Medium, who afflicted you, you cried to me, and I saved you out of their hand. Yet you forsook me and served other mighty ones. Therefore, I will not save you anymore. So like my mom said, Yahuwah does have a breaking point.
Yeah.
Just like us, right? Us men, I think men can definitely relate to what Yahuwah goes through here. Us men, right, are made in his physical image. Part of that image means personality. Okay. Us men naturally have the same personality. We can, and I would say vice versa, women, because they're taken out of men, have some of that personality too. It's natural to be fed up at a certain point. It's not evil. Yeah. This world has told us, oh, you got to stay married to the person forever, no matter how bad they treat you and this and that. But you look at Yahuwah, at some point, he had to divorce Yashrael. At some point, you have to let that other person go. They keep hurting you. It's a natural reaction. It's a righteous reaction. So a lot of people will say, oh, no, you should just keep on forgiving, keep on forgiving, keep on forgiving. That's not what Yahuwah does. Yahuwah has mercy. He has mercy, but his mercy does have a limit.
Yeah.
Contrary to what the church wants to tell you, he does have a limit. That's why he divorced Israel in Jeremiah 3. Okay? So, let's see here. Trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention before we do chapter 11. And they put away the strange mighty ones of the midst of them and served Yahuwah only. And his soul was pained for the trouble of Yashrael. And the children of Ammon went up and encamped at Gilead. And the children of Yashrael were gathered together and camped on the hill. And the people of the princes of Gilead said to every man, to his neighbor, who is he that shall begin to fight? Against the children of Ammon, he shall even be head over all that dwell in Gilead. So now I wonder, just as a thought here, I wonder if Yahuwah, though, automatically is honoring that and he's already with them. Because we've seen sometimes where Israel assumed things, they would go to war and he's not with them. So I kind of wonder if that's what's going on here, because this is kind of quick here. They're repenting kind of quick
Yeah.
and assuming Yahuwah's going to like automatically forgive them. Like, you know what I'm saying, Mom?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of quick. It's out of nowhere and they're about to go to war. You see what I'm saying? So I kind of wonder if Yahuwah's actually with them like that briefly. Because, you know, sometimes in times like, remember in Moses' time when they tried to do that and Yahuwah said, don't go to war with them, I'm not with you.
Right.
So I kind of wonder if that's in the same situation as this. If they just assume because they repented just then that he's automatically going to be already with them. So that's just a thought I had. Because we see a lot of times in the scriptures, what would David do, right? He would go to Yahuwah before even going to war.
Absolutely.
Right? So they didn't do that here. They're kind of skipping a step there. So we're going to see what happens there. All right. And I think I'll take this last chapter just because I haven't read yet today. Let's see here. And Jephthah the Gileadite, a mighty man, and he was the son of a harlot who bore Jephthah to Gilead. And the wife of Gilead bore him sons, and the sons of his wife grew up, and they cast out Jephthah and said to him, you shall not inherit in the house of our father, for you are a son of a concubine. And again, that's not in the Torah, guys. There's nothing in the Torah that says you can't inherit because you're a son of a concubine. So that's mainly their opinion. Just wanted to put that out there. And Jephthah fled from the face of his brethren, dwelt in the land of Tub, and vain men gathered to Jephthah and went out with him. Now, is this the same Jephthah that makes that stupid like vow? Is this the same guy?
I don't know.
Because I think Mom and Judges is where that stupid vow happens. Where he promises his daughter by mistake.
Right.
Because he says the next person that enters the threshold, blah, 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 blah.
You're going to see this later in this chapter.
Okay.
You're going to see
I was just trying to get like...
Yeah, actually towards the very end of the chapter where that comes up.
It came to pass when the children of Ammon prepared to fight against with Yashar, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah from the land of Tub, and they said, Jephthah, come and be our head, and we will fight with the sons of Ammon. And banish me from you. Banish me from you, and wherefore you are come to me now, when you went with me. And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, therefore have we now turned to you. And that you should go with us and fight against the sons of Ammon and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, if you turn me back to fight, the children of Ammon, Yahuwah will deliver them before me. Then will I be your head. The elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, Yahuwah be witness between us if we shall not go out according to your word. Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and people made with him head and ruler over them. Spoke all of his words before Yahuwah in Mizpah. Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the children of Ammon, saying, "What have I to do with you, that you come against me to fight in my land?" And the king of the children of Ammon said to the messengers of Jephthah, "Because Israel took my land when I went up out of Egypt, from Arnon to Yabok and to Jordan, now then, return them peaceably, and I will depart." Jephthah again sent messengers to the king of the children of Ammon, and said to him, "Thus says Jephthah, Yashrael took not the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon, for in their going out of Egypt, for in their going out of Egypt, Israel went into the wilderness as far as the Sea of Siph and came to Kadesh. And Israel went to the messengers of the king of Edom, saying, "I will pass, if it please you, by your land." And the king of Edom complied not. And Yashrael also sent to the king of Moab, and he did not consent. And Yashrael sojourned in Kadesh. And they journeyed in the wilderness, surrounded the land of Edom and the land of Moab. And they came to the east of the land of Moab and encamped in the country beyond Arnon, and came not with the borders of Moab, for Arnon is the border of Moab. Let me just double check, make sure my sound. Yep, my sound's on. Okay, good. Verse 19. And Yashrael sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, king of Heshbon. And Yashrael said to him, "Let us pass by the land to our place." And Sihon did not trust Yashrael to pass by the coast. Sihon gathered all his people, and they encamped at Yasa, and he set battle in array against Yashrael. Yahuwah, Elu of Yashrael, delivered to Sihon and all his people into the hand of Yashrael, and they smote him, and Yashrael inherited the land of the Amorite who dwelt in that land, and Arnon and the Yabok, and from the wilderness to the Jordan. And now Yahuwah, Elu of Yashrael, has removed the Amorite from before his people. Yashrael, shall you inherit his land? Will you not inherit those possessions with Kamash, your Alua, shall cause you to inherit, and shall not we inherit of all those whom Yahuwah Alua has removed from before you? And now are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he indeed fight with Yashrael, and indeed make war with him? When Yashrael dwelt in Heshbon, in the coast, in the land of Aurora, and its coast, and all the cities by Jordan 300 years, and wherefore did you not recover them in that time? And now I have not sinned against you, but you've wronged me in preparing war against me. May Yahuwah rightly rule. Okay, that is very weird. They got judged like twice in this verse. I guess what it's trying to say is that may Yahuwah, the right ruler, rule this day between the children of Yashrael and the children of Ammon. I'm not trying to add to the text, guys. It's just that the word judge is there twice in a row. Yeah. So I'm trying to use the best terminology here. But the king of the children of Ammon hearkened not to the words of Jephthah, which he sent to him. The spirit of Yahuwah came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and he passed over to watch Tower of Gilead to the other side of the Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow to Yahuwah. So this is what I'm talking about here. Yeah. Here, this is a good lesson for none of us to do here. If you're going to make a vow, make sure you're very careful how you give a vow. So right here, he's Watchtower of Gilead. Interesting. Okay. Jephthah vowed a vow to Yahuwah, said, "If you will indeed deliver the children of Ammon into my hand, then it shall come to pass, whosoever shall first come out of the door of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, he shall be Yahuwah's. I will offer him for a whole burnt offering." Now, the reason that's stupid is because how is he supposed to know who's going to go through his threshold first?
That's right.
Unless you know the future, that is a really dumb vow to make.
That's right.
Jephthah advanced to meet the sons of Ammon to fight against them, and Yahuwah delivered them into his hand, and he smote from them one that comes from the Ornan in the number 20 cities as far as Ebel Carmine with great destruction. The children of Ammon were slain before the children of Yashrael. So basically, children of Yashrael defeated the Ammonites, is what's happening here. So Yahuwah basically gives them into their hand. Jephthah came to Meshapha, to his house. And behold, his daughter came forth to meet him with timbrels and dances. She was his only child. She had not another, he had not another son or daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his garments and said, my daughter, you have indeed troubled me. You were the cause of my trouble. I have opened my mouth against you to Yahuwah. I shall not be able to return from it. She said to him, Father, have you opened your mouth to Yahuwah? Do to me accordingly as went out of my mouth, and that Yahuwah has worked vengeance for you on your enemies in the children of Ammon. And she said to her father, let my father now do this thing. Let me alone for 2 months, and I will go up to the town of the mountains, and I will bewail my virginity, I and my companions. And she said, go. And he said, go. And he sent her for 2 months, and she went and her companions, and she bewailed her virginity on the mount. And came to pass at the end of the 2 months that she returned, her father, and he performed upon her the vow which he vowed. She knew no man. And it was an ordinance in Yashrael. The daughters of Yashrael went from year to year to bewail the daughter of Jephthah, Gileadite, for 4 days in a year. So again, this is not a commandment by Yahuwah. Just want to make this very clear. This is a tradition. Even though it says an ordinance in Israel, who's giving the ordinance? Yahuwah is not giving the ordinance. It's a man-made ordinance tradition that they would bewail this girl for 4 days out of the year every year, which Yahuwah never commanded us to do that. And usually Yahuwah actually commanded, as far as mourning for someone that died, you're really only supposed to mourn for about a month or 40 or somewhere between around 30 or 40 days. So I wouldn't say that's a go ahead to be starting a tradition like that. That's just, you got to understand, the time of Judges was like a wicked time in Israel's history. They kind of did whatever was right in their own eyes around the time of Judges. So, I wouldn't exactly say that's okay to do that. But anyway, this is a real reminder. Do not make a promise that you can't keep. Do not make a vow that you can't pay. And we see all over through the word, be a man of your word. So anyway, I think that's the end of today's study. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Have a great rest of your Shabbat, all of our brothers and sisters, and see you next time. Shabbat Shalom.